Cathay Pacific is the de facto international flag carrier airline of Hong Kong, with its head office and main hub located at Hong Kong International Airport. The airline's actual registered office is on the 33rd floor of 1 Pacific Place. The airline's operations include scheduled passenger and cargo services to 168 destinations in 42 countries worldwide, code shares, and joint ventures, with a fleet of wide-body aircraft, consisting of Airbus A330, Airbus A340, Boeing 747 and Boeing 777 equipment. The airline also operates Fifth Freedom flights from Bangkok and Taipei, its focus cities. Its wholly owned subsidiary, Dragora, operates to 44 destinations in the Asia-Pacific region from its Hong Kong base. In 2010, Cathay Pacific and Dragora carried nearly 27 million passengers and over 1.8 million tons of cargo and mail. The airline was founded on September 24, 1946 by American Roy C. Farrell and Australian Sidney H. de Kantzow, with each man putting up $1 Hong Kong to register the airline. The airline made the world's first non-stop transpolar flight flying over the North Pole in July 1998. And the same flight was the maiden flight to arrive at the new Hong Kong International Airport. The airline celebrated its 60th anniversary in 2006. And as of October 2009, its major shareholders are Swire Pacific and Air China. It is reciprocally one of the major shareholders of Air China. Cathay Pacific currently holds the title of the world's third largest airline, measured in terms of market capitalization, according to the International Air Transport Association. In 2010, Cathay Pacific became the world's largest international cargo airline, along with main hub Hong Kong International Airport as the world's busiest airport in terms of cargo traffic. Cathay Pacific is a founding member of the Oneworld Alliance, with its subsidiary, Dragora, as an affiliate member. Cathay Pacific was recently awarded Skytrax's 2014 Airline of the Year. Cathay Pacific has won the World's Best Airline Award for the fourth time, more than any other airline. History, 1940s and 1950s, the early years. Cathay Pacific was founded in Hong Kong on September 24, 1946 by American Roy Farrell and Australian Sidney de Kantzow. Both men were ex-Air Force pilots who had flown the Hump, a route over the Himalayan mountains. Each man put up $1 Hong Kong to register the airline. Although initially based in Shanghai, the two men moved to Hong Kong where they formally began Cathay Pacific. They named it Cathay, the ancient name given to China, derived from Canton, and Pacific because Farrell speculated that they would one day fly across the Pacific. The Chinese name for the company R³ comes from a Chinese idiom meaning grand and peaceful state. According to legend, the airline's unique name was conceived by Farrell and some foreign correspondents at the bar of the Manila Hotel. On Cathay Pacific's maiden voyage, Farrell and de Kantzow flew from Hong Kong to Manila, and later on to Shanghai. They had a single Douglas DC-3, nicknamed Betsy. The airline initially flew routes between Hong Kong, Sydney, Manila, Singapore, Shanghai, and Canton, while scheduled service was limited to Bangkok, Manila, and Singapore only. In 1948 Butterfield and Swire bought 45% of Cathay Pacific, with Australian National Airways taking 35% and Farrell and de Kantzow taking 10% each. The new company began operations on July 1, 1948 and was registered as Cathay Pacific Limited on October 18, 1948. Swire later acquired 52% of Cathay Pacific and today the airline is still 45% owned by the Swire Group through Swire Pacific Limited, 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s, expansion. The airline prospered in late 1950s and into the 1960s by buying its arch-rival, Hong Kong Airways, on July 1, 1959. Between 1962 and 1967, the airline recorded double-digit growth on average every year and the world's first to operate international services to Fukuoka, Nagoya and Osaka in Japan. In 1964, it carried its 1 millionth passenger and acquired its first jet-engine aircraft Convair 880 in 1964. In the 1970s, Cathay Pacific installed a computerized reservation system and flight simulators. In 1979, the airline acquired its first Boeing 747 and applied for traffic rights to begin flying to London in 1980, with the first flight on July 16. Expansion continued into the 1980s, with non-stop service to Vancouver in 1983, with continuing service on to San Francisco in 1986 when an industry-wide boom encouraged route growth to many European and North American centers. On May 15, 1986, the airline went public and listed in the main board of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. 1990s, rebranding, renewal, and own world. In January 1990, Cathay Pacific and its parent company, Swire Pacific, acquired a significant shareholding in Dragoner, and a 75% stake in cargo airline Air Hong Kong in 1994. During the early 1990s, the airline launched a program to upgrade its passenger service. The green and white striped livery was replaced with the current brushwing livery. In 1994 the airline announced that it would establish its new corporate identity, with a $23 million Hong Kong dollar program to update its image. The fleet was expected to have the new logo within 4 years. The airline began a $9 billion fleet replacement program during the mid-1990s that gave it one of the youngest fleets in the world. In 1996, Cathay Pacific increased its holdings in Cathay Pacific from 10% to 25%, while the Swire Group holding was reduced to 44% as two other Chinese companies, CNAC and CTS, also bought substantial holdings. On July 1, 1997, the administration of Hong Kong was transferred from the UK to the People's Republic of China. Most of the airline's aircraft were registered in Hong Kong with a registration beginning with VR. Under the terms of an agreement within the Sino-British Joint Liaison Group, all registrations were changed by December 1997 to the prefix be used by the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. Cathay Pacific aircraft formerly carried a painted UK Union flag on the tail, but these were removed several years before the 1997 takeover. On May 21, 1998, Cathay Pacific took the first delivery of the Boeing 777-300 at a ceremony in Everett. In September 21, 1998, Cathay Pacific, together with American Airlines, British Airways, Canadian Airlines, and Qantas, co-founded the Own World Airline Alliance. The airline was hurt by the Asian financial crisis of the late 1990s, but recorded a record $5 billion profit in 2000. New Hong Kong Airport and transpolar flights. On Monday 6 July 1998, at 0:00 HKT, Kai Tak International Airport saw its last commercial departure in Cathay Pacific Flight 251 to London Heathrow Airport, after over 73 years of operation. The next day, Cathay Pacific Flight 889 from New York John F. Kennedy International Airport piloted by Captain Paul Horsting was the first arrival to the new Hong Kong International Airport at CHEK Lapcock west of Hong Kong. Also on board was Captain Mike Lose and First Officer Kelvin Ma. This flight was also the world's first non-stop transpolar flight from New York to Hong Kong. The flight, dubbed Polar 1, takes about 16 hours between Hong Kong and New York, saving about 3 to 4 hours compared to the one-stop flight via Vancouver. It is Cathay Pacific's longest non-stop flight, and one of the longest in the world at 8,055 mi, 2000s, industrial troubles and acquisitions. The 2000s saw Cathay Pacific experience labor relations issues, and complete the acquisition of Dragoner. The airline operated the first commercial non-stop transpolar flight from Canada on May 19, 2000, with Cathay Pacific Flight 829 from Toronto to Hong Kong. The flight flew directly over Hudson Bay and passed within 50 nautical miles of the North Pole. It took just 14 hours and 59 minutes and saved almost 3 hours from the normal route, which included a technical stop in Anchorage. It is Cathay Pacific's second longest non-stop flight with a distance of 7,809 mi. Compared to other airlines in Asia, Cathay Pacific was little affected from September 11 attacks, and increased its routes and fleet. On November 28, 2002, The airline took delivery of its first Airbus A340-600 aircraft at a ceremony at the Airbus factory in Toulouse. Cathay Pacific was the launch customer in Asia for the A340-600 and the aircraft was the first of 3 leased from International Lease Finance Corporation. On December 1, 2005, Cathay Pacific announced an order for 16 Boeing 777-300ER aircraft, 4 on lease from ILFC, to be delivered between September 2007 and July 2010, plus options on 20 more of the type, 2 of which were converted to orders on June 1, 2006. The airline also ordered 3 more A330-300 on the same day, with the delivery of the aircraft scheduled for 2008. On August 7, 2007, Cathay Pacific announced that it had placed an additional order for 5 more wide-body Boeing 777-300ER aircraft for a total price of about $1.4 billion, increasing its commitment to a total of 23 of the aircraft type. The 49ers a Euro employment dispute. In 2001, the Hong Kong Aircrew Officers Association launched a Work to Rule campaign to further its campaign for pay improvements and changes to roster scheduling practices. The action involved pilots refusing to work flights that were not scheduled on their roster. Although this alone did not cause extensive disruption, rostered pilots began to call in sick for their flights. Combined with the Work to Rule campaign, the airline was unable to cover all of its scheduled flights, and cancellations resulted. Cathay Pacific steadfastly refused to negotiate with the HKAOA under threat of industrial action. On July 9, 2001, reportedly following a comprehensive review of the employment histories of all its pilots, the company fired 49 of its 1,500 pilots. This group became known colloquially as the 49ers. Nearly half of the fired pilots were captains, representing 5% of the total pilot group. Of the 21 officers of the HKAOA, 9 were fired, including 4 of the 7 union negotiators. Then HKAOA President Captain Nigel Demery took the view that the firing was pure intimidation, a union bus straight up, designed to be random enough to put the fear in all pilots that they might be next, no reason given. The dismissals were challenged in a number of legal proceedings, but none were reinstated. The airline later offered the 49 pilots it terminated in 2001 the chance to reapply for pilot positions with its cargo division, guaranteeing such applicants first interviews, subject to passing psychometric testing. 19 former employees applied and 12 were offered jobs. Current relations between the company and the HKAOA are cordial. The replacement of Captain Demery by Captain Murray Gardner was said to have had a lot to do with this change in relationship. Captain Gardner favored a more diplomatic and conciliatory approach to dealing with management, and workplace relations between the two groups have been largely conciliatory since 2002. On November 11, 2009, 18 of the 49ers succeeded in the Hong Kong Court of First Instance concerning their joint claims for breach of contract, breach of the employment ordinance, and defamation. Judge Anselmo Reyes ruled that the airline had contravened the employment ordinance by dismissing the pilots without a valid reason, adding that they had been sacked primarily because of union activities. He also held that remarks by then Chief Operating Officer Philip Chen Nanlock and current Chief Executive Tony Tyler after the sackings were defamatory. The judge handed the pilots a victory in their long-running legal battle, with individual awards of $3.3 Hong Kong dollars a million for defamation together with a month's pay and 150,000 Hong Kong dollars for the sackings. On December 24, 2010, Judges Frank Stock, Susan Kwan, and Johnson Lamb of the Court of Appeal overturned the judgment of the lower court to the extent that the claim for wrongful termination of contract was dismissed. The finding that Cathay Pacific wrongly sacked the 18 pilots for their union activities was upheld. The court upheld the defamation claim, but reduced the damages for the defamatory comments made by Cathay Pacific management. The judges also modified the judgment awarding payment of legal costs to the pilots and instead said that they should now pay some of Cathay Euro unregistered trademark costs. The leader of the 49er plaintiffs, Captain John Warham, launched a book titled The 49ers a Euro: The True Story on March 25, 2011. The pilots were awarded leave on October 26, 2011 to take their case to the Court of Final Appeal. The matter was heard before Honorable Mr. Justices Bokhari, Chan, and Ribeiro, who are all permanent judges of the Court of Final Appeal. The matters to be decided upon by the court will concern wrongful termination of contract and the level of damages for defamation. The case was heard by the Court of Final Appeal on August 27, 2012. On September 26, 2012, 11 years after they were sacked, the 49ers were finally judged to have won the three prime issues of their legal case: breach of contract, breach of the employment ordinance, and defamation. The Court of Final Appeal agreed with the Court of Appeal's methodology for reducing the defamation damages. However, it reinstated 1 month's salary for each of the 49ers. Regarding breach of contract, the overall picture leading to dismissal and events immediately after will be analyzed by the courts, not just the dismissal letter. Regarding the employment ordinance, an important aspect was that the judgment defined the scope of union activities, and its protection for workers in Hong Kong. The court concluded, accordingly, most union-sponsored action is potentially protected by S21b, 1b, but if the action is not carried out at an appropriate to near it is excluded from the provision. There was no challenge by Cathay Pacific to the Court of Appeal unregistered trademark's decision to uphold the original judge unregistered trademark's conclusion that the statements made by Cathay executives were defamatory of the plaintiffs. John Warham, referring to the effect the fight has had on pilots' families, said, "In terms of human life, 3 people are dead because of what Cathay Pacific did to us. That's on their conscience. I hope they can live with that." Acquisition and downsizing of Dragoner. On June 9, 2006, the airline underwent a shareholding realignment under which Dragoner became a wholly owned subsidiary but continued to operate under its own brand. By acquiring Dragoner, this meant gaining more access to the restricted, yet rapidly growing, mainland China market and more opportunities for sharing of resources. CNAC, and its subsidiary, Air China, acquired a 17.5% stake in Cathay Pacific, and the airline doubled its shareholding in Air China to 17.5%. CITIC Pacific reduced its shareholding to 17.5% and Swire Group reduced its shareholding to 40%. Dragoner had originally planned significant international expansion. It was already operating services to Bangkok and Tokyo, and was to have a dedicated cargo fleet of 9 Boeing 747-400 BCF aircraft by 2009 operating to New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, San Francisco and Columbus. It had also acquired 3 Airbus A330-300 aircraft to commence services to Sydney and Seoul. Following the acquisition by Cathay Pacific, Dragoner's proposed expansion plans underwent a comprehensive route compatibility analysis with the Cathay network, in an effort to reduce duplication. Dragoner services to Bangkok and Tokyo were terminated, and new services launched to Sendai, Phuket, Manila and Kathmandu. With the merging of similar departments at the 2 previously separate airlines, some Dragoner staff have had their employment contracts transferred to Cathay Pacific, and others made redundant due to the efficiencies gained in the merger. This has resulted in an approximately 37% decrease in the number of staff contractually employed by Dragoner. Although there has been speculation that Dragoner will cease as a brand and be fully absorbed into Cathay Pacific, this is unlikely as Dragoner enjoys significant market awareness in regional Chinese markets. Economic challenges. To celebrate the airline's 60th anniversary in 2006, a year of roadshows named the Cathay Pacific 60th Anniversary Sky Show was held where the public could see the developments of the airline, play games, meet some of the airline's staff, and view vintage uniforms. Cathay Pacific also introduced anniversary merchandise and in-flight meals served by famous restaurants in Hong Kong in collaboration with the celebrations. In June 2008, Cathay Pacific entered into a plea bargain with the United States Department of Justice in respect of antitrust investigations over air cargo price-fixing agreements. It was fined $60 million. The airline has subsequently set up an internal competition compliance office, reporting to Chief Operating Officer John Sluicer, to ensure that the group complies with all relevant competition and antitrust laws in the jurisdiction in which it operates. The breaches for which Cathay Pacific cargo were being investigated in the U.S. were not illegal under Hong Kong competition law. In March 2009, the airline reported a record full-year loss of $8.56 billion for 2008, which was also the carrier's first since the 1997 Asian financial crisis. The record loss included fuel hedging losses of $7.6 billion and a $468 million charge for a price-fixing fine in the U.S. It had to scrap its final dividend. The hedging losses were a result of locking in fuel prices at higher than prevailing market price. As of the end of 2008, Cathay Pacific has hedged about half of its fuel needs until the end of 2011. The airline at the time estimated that it would face no further cash costs from the hedges if the average market price stood at $75, enabling it recoup provisions it made in 2008. The flattening out of fuel prices resulted in Cathay Pacific recording a paper fuel hedging gain for its half-year reports for 2009. However, as a result of the global economic situation, the group reported an operating loss. Given the current economic climate, and in line with the steps being taken by other major airlines around the world, the airline has undertaken a comprehensive review of all its routes and operations. This has resulted in frequencies being reduced to certain destinations, ad hoc cancellations on other routes, deferred capital expenditure, parked aircraft, and introduced a special leave scheme for staff to conserve money. According to CEO Tony Tyler, the yield from passengers was hugely down, and the airline had lost a lot of premium traffic. He noted that it could take 20 passengers in economy to make up for the lost revenue of one fewer first-class passenger flying to New York from Hong Kong. 2010s, current developments. In 2010, the airline set another record high profit, amounting to $14.048 billion despite record losses set in the same decade. At the same time, Cathay Pacific had taken delivery of several new aircraft types, including the Airbus A330-300 and Boeing 777-300ER. Tony Tyler left his position as CEO at the airline on March 31, 2010 to pursue his new job at the IATA. Chief Operating Officer John Sluicer had succeeded Tony Tyler as the new CEO. In addition, New Zealand's Commerce Commission had dropped charges against Cathay Pacific concerning the air cargo price-fixing agreements. Corporate Affairs and Identity. Cathay Pacific's head office, Cathay Pacific City, is located at Hong Kong International Airport, although the airline's registered office is on the 33rd floor of One Pacific Place. Cathay Pacific City was scheduled to be built in increments between April and September 1998. Their headquarters opened in 1998. Previously the airline's headquarters were at the Swire House, which was a complex in Central named after the airline's parent company. Subsidiaries and associates. Cathay Pacific has diversified into related industries and sectors, including ground handling, aviation engineering, in-flight catering. Companies with major Cathay Pacific Group stake include branding and publicity efforts have revolved primarily around the staff and passengers of Cathay Pacific. The airline's first campaign focusing on the passenger was "It's the Little Things That Move You." It was followed by an advertising campaign. Great service. Great people. Great fares. In 2011, Cathay Pacific rolled out "People. They Make an Airline" as their latest motto. It was accompanied by a supplementary website Meet the Team, which introduced some of the staff through profiles. The flash site revealed many behind-the-scenes stories, many of which contain inspiring facts about their career life. Livery. All Cathay Pacific aircraft carry the following livery, logos and trademarks: the brushwing livery on the body and on the vertical stabilizer, introduced in the early 1990s. The Asia's World City brand line, the brand Hong Kong logotype and the dragon's symbol. The Own World logo and the Swire Group logo. The brushwing logo consists of a calligraphic stroke against a green background. The stroke is intended to appear like the wing of a bird. The previous logo, consisting of green and white stripes, was in place from the early 1970s until 1994. Prior to 1997, all Cathay Pacific aircraft carried the British flag on the empennage. After the handover, aircraft carry the brand Hong Kong logo and with Hong Kong or in Chinese the unregistered trademark E under or beside of the brand Hong Kong logo instead of using the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region flag. In fact, the HKSAR flag has never appeared on any aircraft. Destinations. Cathay Pacific serves 168 destinations in 42 countries and territories on 5 continents, with a well-developed Asian network. The airline serves a number of gateway cities in North America and Europe, with easy connections with its own world and codeshare partners, American Airlines and British Airways via Los Angeles and London, respectively. In addition, the airline serves 10 French cities via a codeshare partnership with French national rail operator, SNCF, from Paris. The airline also has access to over 17 destinations in China through its subsidiary, Dragoner. Cathay Pacific suspended its flight operations to and from Colombo on March 26, 2007 due to security concerns, following the closure of the Bandar Anaica International Airport. The services between Hong Kong and Colombo via Bangkok and Singapore resumed on March 30, 2008. In 2008, the airline increased services to Auckland, Brisbane, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Dubai, Mumbai, Perth, Singapore and Sydney, while reducing services to Toronto and Vancouver. In 2009, the airline increased services to Jakarta and Shanghai, while services to Paris were increased from March 29, 2009 to August 31, 2009 and from December 18, 2009 to January 6, 2010. In addition, Jeddah will be Cathay Pacific's second destination in Saudi Arabia from October 25, while services to Brisbane and San Francisco are temporarily reduced from September to November 17 and October, respectively. In late 2009, services increased back to Toronto and Vancouver at a frequency of twice daily. Cathay Pacific announced it will launch daily passenger service to Chicago operated by Boeing 777-300ER on September 1, 2011 and increase service to New York with a fourth daily flight beginning March 27, 2011. The airline also launched its 4-weekly service to Abu Dhabi by Airbus A330-300 on June 2, 2011. The airline's second destination in the United Arab Emirates complementing existing service to Dubai. The airline has suspended services to Abu Dhabi and Jeddah on March 30, 2014. On March 1, 2014, the airline launched services to Newark Liberty International Airport with Boeing 777-300ER aircraft. The Newark service will complement the carrier's existing service to New York City's John F. Kennedy International Airport. Cathay Pacific has also recently started services from HKIA to Doha. The airline also announced that it will begin passenger service to Manchester on December 8, 2014. On May 19, 2014, the airline announced the resumption of flights to Zurich, Switzerland from March 29, 2015. The new service is to be operated daily by a 4-class B777-300ER. Codeshare agreements. Cathay Pacific has codeshare agreements with the following airlines. The airline also has a codeshare agreement with French high-speed trains from TGV station at Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport to 10 French cities. Fleet. Current. Cathay Pacific operates 4-class configurations on most of its Boeing 747-400 and Boeing 777-300ER fleet, 3-class configurations on remaining Boeing 777-300ER, most Airbus A340-300 and all long-haul Airbus A330-300 aircraft, and 2-class configurations on all regional configured aircraft. The Boeing customer code for Cathay Pacific is 67. As of July 2014, the Cathay Pacific passenger fleet comprises the following aircraft. The carrier planned to increase to 200 aircraft by 2020 and 300 by 2024. Fleet gallery. Passenger fleet plans. On November 8, 2007, Cathay Pacific announced that it had placed an order for 7 additional Boeing 777-300ERs and 10 747-8F freighters with a list price of $5.2 billion. In addition, it also took 14 options for the new freighter at that time. This order, if all options are exercised, would make Cathay Pacific the largest operator of 777-300ERs in Asia and largest operator of 747-8Fs in the world. On December 6, 2007, the airline, already the biggest operator of the Airbus A330, placed a firm order for 8 more Airbus A330-300 aircraft valued at approximately $1.7 billion at list prices. Together with the commitment for 17 long-haul passenger aircraft and freighters announced the previous month, the new aircraft will take the Cathay Pacific Group's fleet size to 200 by 2012. From those 200 aircraft, the airline will operate 155 itself, and the rest will be used by its subsidiaries. The airline's CEO, Tony Tyler, stated on October 30, 2007 that the carrier had no plans regarding the purchase of either the Boeing 787 Dreamliner or the Airbus A380 for the time being. On June 8, 2010, the carrier entered talks with both Boeing and Airbus about adding the 787 Dreamliner and/or the Airbus A350 to their fleet, with Tyler reported to have said that the airline was more interested in acquiring smaller, long-range jets that are better suited for carrying cargo, than it is in acquiring either the Boeing 747-8 or the Airbus A380. The twin-jet aircraft would allow Cathay Pacific to both add new destinations to its network, and to replace those 747-400s and A340-300s that currently operate on its long-haul routes alongside 777-300ERs. The carrier remained open on a potential purchase of the B747-8 and A380 for long-haul and ultra-long-haul routes to Australia, the US and Europe. OE Airbus and Boeing have been talking to us, and we will study both the A380 and the 747-8 intercontinental next year, Cathay Pacific Chief Executive John Sluicer told Flight Global Pro. On March 11, 2009, it was reported that the delivery of 2 aircraft due in 2008 was delayed after a strike at Boeing. Additionally, the delivery of 2 747-8 freighters was pushed back to 2010 amid delays at the planemaker. The delivery positions on new A330-300 and 777-300ER aircraft were deferred due to the economic recession. Cathay Pacific also sent 4 A340-300 and 2 747-400 aircraft to Victorville Airport for storage. On August 4, 2010, it was confirmed that Cathay Pacific would buy 30 A350-900s and 6 more 777-300ERs. On March 8, 2011, it was reported that the airline had ordered another 15 A330-300s and 10 777-300ERs. The deal also included 2 more A350-900s, to be leased from ILFC. On August 10, 2011, Cathay Pacific entered into an agreement with Boeing to purchase 4 777-300ER passenger aircraft and 8 Boeing 777F freighters. On January 20, 2012, it was confirmed that Cathay Pacific would buy another 6 A350-900s. At the 2012 Farnborough Air Show, it was confirmed that Cathay would order 10 A350-1000s and convert 16 A350-900s to the bigger A1000. On August 20, 2011, it was reported that Cathay Pacific would be launching a premium economy class on its new 777-300ERs from March 2012. The aircraft will feature 40 business class, 32 premium economy class and 268 economy class seats with the absence of a first-class cabin. On August 22, 2011 it announced that it would offer the premium economy class service in its new A330-300s to be available from March 2012. The aircraft would be configured with 38 business class, 28 premium economy class and 175 economy class seats. Premium economy class will also be offered on 4 Class 777-300ERs and 747-400s from summer 2012. On December 20, 2013, the airline placed an order for 21 Boeing 777-9X aircraft at a listed price of 58 billion Hong Kong dollars. Cargo. Cathay Pacific Cargo operates a fleet of over 20 freighters to more than 40 destinations around the world, in addition to utilizing the cargo space on its passenger aircraft. The cargo subsidiary was established in 1981 with a twice-a-week Hong Kong-Frankfurt-London service operated jointly with Lufthansa. The cargo division ranked 5th in the freight category of the 2008 The World's Top 25 Airlines by Air Transport World. Cathay Pacific Cargo handles most of the airline's passenger cargo. Together with its cargo routes, it serves more than 80 destinations and is able to operate to destinations that are not in the Cathay Pacific passenger network. Cargo fleet notes. On October 5, 2005, the airline took delivery of its first Boeing 747-400 Boeing converted freighter aircraft that was converted from passenger configuration to a freighter in Xiamen, China. Cathay Pacific Cargo is the launch customer for this aircraft model, and it was also the first time Boeing had conducted a major flight test program outside the United States. On June 22, 2006, the airline announced an order for 6 Boeing 747-400ER freighters, delivered in 2008 and 2009. On October 31, 2011, Cathay Pacific took delivery of its first Boeing 747-8F. 18 months after the first delivery, the airline announced that they will be acquiring an additional 3 747-8F in lieu of the 8 777-200F originally ordered. As part of the agreement, Boeing will reacquire 4 747-400 BCF from Cathay Pacific Group as well. On March 18, 2008, Airport Authority Hong Kong awarded Cathay Pacific Services Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary, a non-exclusive 20-year franchise to invest in, design, construct and operate a new air cargo terminal at Hong Kong International Airport, to be built in the cargo area at the airport, close to the existing cargo servicing facilities, with a site area of approximately 10 hectares. The new cargo terminal will be operated by a separate management team in CPSL. On January 15, 2009, CPSL signed a supplementary agreement with the HKAA to defer the completion of its new cargo terminal by a maximum of 24 months to mid-2013, in response to the current market conditions. A non-disclosed compensation amount for the deferral is included in the supplementary agreement. Architecture firm Oiders is designing cargo terminal, special liveries. In 1997, a Boeing 747-200 named Spirit of Hong Kong, with a special livery, a big traditional Chinese brushstroke character, a traditional Chinese wording character, the first E-Euro-squared E per mil micron E-degree E painted on the left side of the aircraft, and a wording the Spirit of Hong Kong 97 painted on the right side of the aircraft, to commemorate the handover of Hong Kong back to China. On January 17, 2000, Spirit of Hong Kong made a return on a Boeing 747-400 to celebrate the legendary resilience of Hong Kong with a new special livery depicts a young athlete overcoming a series of challenges to reach his goal. A special wording "Same Team, Same Dream" was painted on the left side of the aircraft, and a traditional Chinese wording "C copyright E6 E-Euro-squared A, E pound E paragraph She E florin cubed" was painted on the right side of the aircraft. On July 30, 2013, Spirit of Hong Kong made another return, this time, on a Boeing 777-300ER. The livery features 110 people who represent the extraordinary spirit of Hong Kong people. The livery also has the wordings "The Spirit of Hong Kong E unregistered trademark E carat squared 3/4 CN E unregistered trademark", while the livery is actually an online contest held by Cathay Pacific to call on Hong Kong people to submit creative entries that illustrate the true spirit of the city along with a full-body photograph of themselves. The judging panel then chose 100 winners and 10 champions and their silhouettes have been painted on the plane. On July 5, 2002, a Boeing 747-400, named Asia's World City, carried a special livery, the Asia's World City brand line, the brand Hong Kong logotype and the dragon's symbol, to promote Hong Kong around the world. In January 2008, a new Boeing 777-300ER was painted in the Asia's World City livery. On August 29, 2006, the airline took delivery of its 100th aircraft, an Airbus A330-300 with the registration BLAD. For the aircraft acceptance ceremony in Toulouse, the aircraft was painted in a 100th aircraft livery with a 60th anniversary sticker behind the second doors, the wording 100th aircraft, and the traditional Chinese wording E²D⁻²3/4 painted on the rear of the aircraft. The aircraft was named Progress Hong Kong, a name that was chosen from a competition by the staff. In November 2011, Cathay received its second 747-8 freighter, which was painted in the Hong Kong trader livery. The livery was designed to commemorate the topping out of the new Cathay Pacific cargo terminal. The name of the livery is taken from Cathay Pacific, a Euro-1 registered trademark S very first 747 freighter which entered the fleet in 1982. Currently, a total of 3 Cathay Pacific aircraft are painted in the oneworld livery to commemorate the alliance's 10th anniversary. On March 12, 2009, Cathay Pacific's first oneworld aircraft, an Airbus A340-300, was painted in the new, standard oneworld livery. An additional aircraft, an Airbus A330-300, has also been painted in the oneworld livery, while a brand new Boeing 777-300ER was painted and delivered on October 17, 2009. Retired. Since its conception in 1946, the airline had operated many types of aircraft. The first 2 aircraft were 2 World War II surplus Douglas DC-3s named Betsy and Nki. Betsy, the first aircraft for Cathay Pacific, is now a permanent exhibit in the Hong Kong Science Museum. Nki was lost, but a similar DC-3 was purchased as a replacement. It was refurbished and repainted by the airline's engineering department and maintenance provider, Hong Kong Aircraft Engineering Company, and it now wears the second Cathay Pacific livery from the late 1940s. This aircraft received Nki's old VRHDA aircraft registration and is now on public view in the car park outside the Flight Training Center of Cathay City. Loyalty programs. Cathay Pacific has 2 loyalty programs, the Marco Polo Club, the Loyalty Program, and Asia Miles, the Travel Reward Program. Members of the club are automatically enrolled as Asia Miles members. Marco Polo Club. The Marco Polo Club is divided into 4 tiers, green, silver, gold and diamond, based on the members' past travel. A joining fee of $50 or a $35 is applicable for a Marco Polo Club membership. Members earn club miles and club sectors on eligible fare classes with Cathay Pacific, Dragoner and oneworld member airlines. These are used to calculate the members' eligibility for membership renewal, upgrade or downgrade during the membership year. Higher-tiered members are provided with increased travel benefits such as guaranteed economy class seat, additional baggage allowance, priority flight booking and airport lounge access. The Marco Polo Club membership is terminated after 12 months of inactivity or failure to meet minimum travel criteria as outlined in the membership guide. Green. The green tier is the entry level to the Marco Polo Club. Benefits include dedicated 24-hour club service line for flight reservations, designated Marco Polo check-in counters, excess baggage allowance and lounge access redemptions, and priority boarding. Members are required to earn 4 club sectors for membership renewal. Silver. Silver tier level is achieved or retained when the member earns 30,000 club miles or 20 club sectors during the membership year. Additional benefits for Silver Card members include advanced seat reservations, priority waitlisting, business class check-in counters, 10 kg extra baggage allowance, priority baggage handling and business class lounge access when flying Cathay Pacific or Dragoner-operated flights. Additionally, members are eligible to use the frequent visitor e-channels, for seamless self-service immigration clearance at Hong Kong International Airport. Marco Polo Club Silver Tier status is equivalent to Oneworld Ruby Tier status, which entitles members to Oneworld Ruby benefits when traveling on Oneworld member airline. Gold tier level is achieved or retained when a member earns 60,000 club miles or 40 club sectors during the membership year. Additional benefits for Gold Card members include guaranteed economy class seat on Cathay Pacific or Dragonair flights booked 72 hours before departure, 15 kg or one piece of extra baggage allowance, business class lounge access with one guest when flying Cathay Pacific or Dragonair operated flights and arrival lounge access when flying Cathay Pacific or Dragonair operated and marketed flights. Marco Polo Club Gold Tier status is equivalent to Oneworld Sapphire Tier status, which entitles members to Oneworld Sapphire benefits when traveling on Oneworld member airline. Diamond, the second highest tier in the Marco Polo Club. Diamond tier level is achieved or retained when a member earns 120,000 club miles or 80 club sectors during the membership year. Additional benefits for Diamond Card members include top priority wait listing, guaranteed economy class or business class seat on Cathay Pacific or Dragonair flights booked 24 hours before departure, first class check encounters, 20 kg or one piece of extra baggage allowance, first priority baggage handling, first-class lounge access with two guests when flying Cathay Pacific or Dragonair-operated flights and business-class lounge access with two guests when flying on any airline. Marco Polo Club Diamond Tier status is equivalent to Oneworld Emerald Tier status, which entitles members to Oneworld Emerald benefits when traveling on Oneworld member airline. Diamond Plus, the highest tier in the Marco Polo Club. Diamond Plus tier level offered annually to the top 1% of Diamond members worldwide €OE in recognition of their exceptional and consistent travel performance and their contribution to Cathay Pacific and Dragonair. Diamond Plus and Diamond members are €OE considered in the same tier in every aspect €. However, Diamond Plus get extra perks consisting of nomination of one companion to the Diamond tier, and access to CX first class lounges regardless which airline they are flying. Marco Polo Club Diamond Plus tier status is equivalent to Oneworld Emerald tier status, which entitles members to Oneworld Emerald benefits when traveling on Oneworld member airline. Asia Miles. Asia Miles was named a €OE Best Frequent Flyer Program Euro at the 2011 Business Traveller Asia Pacific Travel Awards ceremony. Members can earn Asia Miles with more than 500 partners in 9 categories: airlines, hotels, finance and insurance, dining and banquets, retail, travel and leisure, cars and transport, telecoms and professional services. Members can also earn miles when shopping online through iShop, which offers a variety of products and brands €, from books and electronics to clothing and accessories. Members can use the miles to redeem travel, electronic items, culinary delights, concert tickets and other lifestyle awards. Miles are valid for 3 years from the date of accrual. Asia Miles membership is free and open to individuals aged 2 or above. Services, ground handling. On 22 January 2007 and 18 December 2008, Cathay Pacific launched more methods to check in for flights. Among them was self-check-in using a kiosk at Hong Kong International Airport and select destinations globally. Another was checking in via a mobile phone. Worldwide, only a limited number of other airlines offer these options. Cathay Pacific later announced, on April 17, 2009, the airline's first ever mobile boarding pass application, dubbed CX Mobile, was launched. Passengers can use the application to check flight arrivals and departures, check in for their flights, and read about the destinations they are flying to using city guides. CX Mobile has become a hit with passengers, making Cathay Pacific one of the industry leaders in offering mobile services to users of smartphones. Cathay Pacific is also now following a trend among many airlines to improve its brand image to customers and shareholders with social media, and is ranked 4th worldwide. The airline now utilizes a range of social media tools including Facebook, FLICKR, Twitter, YouTube and blogging to share ideas with customers. In addition, it has launched a virtual tour to enable passengers to experience Cathay Pacific's new cabins and services without having to step aboard the aircraft. As of January 4, 2011, the cargo division of the airline, Cathay Pacific Cargo, has become the first airline operating out of Hong Kong to fully switch to e-airway bill. This eliminates the need for all paper documents when issuing airway bills. The International Air Transport Association selected 9 countries and territories and airlines in which to run the EAWB pilot program, including Hong Kong and Cathay Pacific. Cabin: Cathay Pacific has been phasing in new cabin interiors and in-flight entertainment since June 2011. The first aircraft with the new seats is an Airbus A330-300 registered BLAN, which flew its first commercial flight as Cathay Pacific Flight 101 between Hong Kong and Sydney on April 1, 2012. First class. The first-class seats can be converted into fully lie flatbeds measuring 36 in A, A81 in. The seats include a massage function, a personal closet, an ottoman for stowage or guest seating, and adjustable 17-in, 16:9 personal televisions. Business class. After receiving extensive criticism for its high-walled herringbone configuration business class seating on long-haul flights, which many passengers felt was too narrow and confined, Cathay Pacific embarked on a total redesign of business class seating. The new design is more conventional, emphasizing the passenger's sense of personal space while also retaining privacy. The new business class seats will be fitted into all new Airbus A330-300 and Boeing 777-300ER deliveries, with existing A330-300 and 777-300ER aircraft to be upgraded to the new seating and cabin by February 2013. However, the Boeing 747-400 and Airbus A340-300 aircraft will not be upgraded to the new seating and cabin due to the impending retirement of those planes. Instead, they will see a refresh of the old herringbone product. The new business class seats emphasize personal space and are equipped with a 15.4 MPTV with a VOD. The existing regional business class is provided on Cathay Pacific's Boeing 777s and selected Airbus A330-300s. Regional business class seats have 20 in width and recline to 45 in of pitch and feature electrical recline and leg rest. A 9 in PTV is located in the armrest, provides 20 video and 22 audio channels but does not offer a VOD. Premium economy class. Cathay Pacific has been introducing a premium economy class from March 2012. The seat pitch will be 38 inches (6 inches) more than economy class and the seat itself will be wider and have a bigger recline. It will have a large meal table, cocktail table, footrest, a 10.6-inch personal television, an in-seat power outlet, a multi-port connector for personal devices, and extra personal stowage space. The premium economy class seat offers a higher level of comfort with more living space in a separate cabin before the economy class zone. Passengers will also receive an environmentally friendly amenity kit with dental kit, socks and eye shade for use during the journey. Larger pillows and noise-cancelling headsets will be provided. The new premium economy cabin will be installed on most Cathay Pacific long-haul aircraft. The first Boeing 777-300ER and Airbus A330-300 featuring premium economy class has entered into service in March and scheduled service in April. Starting in October 2012, the airline collaborated with Hong Kong lifestyle store GOD and introduced a new range of amenity kits for premium economy passengers. They are designed as collectibles, with each bag being able to hook up to each other to form a wall-hanging accessory. The first 2 available are Joy and Fortune, with designs that depicts Chinese gods relaxing in flight and of auspicious clouds respectively. The 2 types are available on outbound and inbound flights respectively. They include 90% recycled plastic bottles and toothbrush made mainly from biodegradable cornstarch and cellulose. Economy class. Cathay Pacific has been introducing a new economy class from March 2012. They have a 6-inch recline. These seats are 17.5 in width and have 32 in of pitch. The old economy class seats, offered on aircraft outfitted with the refurbished long-haul interiors, were designed by BE Aerospace. These seats include a fixed-back design that allows passengers to recline without intruding on those seated behind, a 9-in PTV providing AVOD, AC power located behind a larger tray table, a coat hook and a literature pocket that has been relocated to below the seat cushion to create more legroom. The fixed shell of these seats has been criticized. The previous economy class seats each feature 6-in PTVs with a choice of 25 channels. These seats are 17-in in width and have 32-in of pitch. These seats are being replaced with the new economy class seats on aircraft receiving the Cathay Pacific's new long-haul interior configuration. In-flight entertainment, Studio CX, Cathay Pacific's in-flight entertainment system, equipped with personal televisions in every seat, offers the latest Hollywood blockbuster movies, popular Asian and Western TV programs, music and games. In addition, the airline provides a range of different newspapers and magazines from around the world, including the airline's award-winning in-flight magazine Discovery. Passengers with visual impairment can request for Hong Kong's South China Morning Post in Braille to be available on board. Studio CX provides audio-video on demand for every passenger and offers up to 100 movies, 350 TV programs, 888 CD albums in 24 different genres, 22 radio channels and more than 70 interactive games. Panasonic's X2 system is installed on aircraft, and is available on most aircraft. Catering. Food and beverages are complimentary for all long-haul passengers, with 2 hot meals generally served on each flight even in economy, and with free alcoholic beverages. Food served on flights from Hong Kong are provided by Cathay Pacific Catering Services facilities in Hong Kong. CLS Catering Services Limited, a joint venture with LSG Sky Chefs, provides the in-flight catering from Toronto and Vancouver airports. While Vietnam Air Caterers, a joint venture between CPCS and Vietnam Airlines, provides the in-flight catering for flights from Ho Chi Minh City. Incidents and accidents. On July 16, 1948, Miss Macau, a Cathay Pacific subsidiary operated consolidated PBY-5A Catalina from Macau to Hong Kong was hijacked by 4 men, who killed a pilot after takeoff. The aircraft crashed in the Pearl River Delta near Zhuhai. 26 people died, leaving only 1 survivor, a hijacker. This was the first hijacking of a commercial airliner in the world. On February 24, 1949, a Cathay Pacific Douglas DC-3 from Manila to Hong Kong, crashed near Braemar Reservoir after a go-around in poor weather. All 23 people on board died. On September 13, 1949, a Cathay Pacific Douglas DC-3 departing from Anyusakan, Burma, crashed on takeoff when the right-hand main gear leg collapsed. There were no reported fatalities. On July 23, 1954, a Cathay Pacific Douglas DC-4 from Bangkok to Hong Kong was shot down by aircraft of the People's Liberation Army Air Force in the South China Sea near Hainan Island. 10 people died, leaving 9 survivors. After the incident, Cathay Pacific received an apology and compensation from the People's Liberation Army Air Force. It was apparently mistaken for a nationalist Chinese military aircraft. On November 5, 1967, Cathay Pacific Flight 33, operated by Convair 880 from Hong Kong to Saigon, overran the runway at Kai Tak Airport. 1 person was killed and the aircraft was written off. On June 15, 1972, Cathay Pacific Flight 700Z, operated by Convair 880 from Bangkok to Hong Kong, disintegrated and crashed while the aircraft was flying at 29,000 feet over Pleiku, Vietnam after a bomb exploded in a suitcase placed under a seat in the cabin, killing all 81 people on board. On April 13, 2010, Cathay Pacific Flight 780, an Airbus A330-342 from Surabaya International Airport to Hong Kong landed safely after both engines failed due to contaminated fuel. 57 passengers were injured. Its 2 pilots received the Polaris Award from the International Federation of Airline Pilots Associations, for their heroism and airmanship. See also List of airlines of Hong Kong, List of airports in Hong Kong, List of companies of Hong Kong, Macau Air Transport Company, subsidiary from 1948 to 1961, Transport in Hong Kong, references. External links, media related to Cathay Pacific at Wikimedia Commons, official website, Cathay Pacific Cargo, Cathay Pacific for Business, route map, Swire Group.